All right, good morning everyone. This is Eli with ADV Hour, taking a little ride today, a couple hours. It'll be about a 40-minute ride to some nice gravel roads, and we'll pop around there for a little while and then head back home. It's a chilly day out. Just mentioned that because I just want to mention the battery has been actually performing really well for me. There's been some discussion on some of the forums around the battery draining, and it's been super cold the last few days. I've never had this thing plugged in. I've only had it for like a week and a half, but never had a battery issue. Starts up great on the first try every time. So this is I don't know, the third or so ride that I've been able to take on this bike. I absolutely love it. I finally got the GoPro and internal microphone or external microphone set up for the helmet, and I think it's going to be good. So I'm just going to talk through, my first impressions, give you some feedback, kind of in real time, how I feel about the bike, and then we'll go from there. So I'll catch you on the road. But before I do, I just want to mention I'm going to do a more of a detailed overview on these Tusk bags that I literally just got in the mail yesterday. Mounted them on pretty quickly. I don't have a rear rack, as you can tell there. But they have a nice mechanism to actually hook up underneath sort of the tail assembly there, and it's working out nicely. So we'll go ahead and get started. Like I said, about a 40-minute ride to anything adventurous around here, so that's what we'll do. Yeah, right now I've only got 150 miles on the bike, but I've been really loving it. So yeah, I'll go do a quick overview of the controls and everything. I can tell you the controls feel really nice, and the feedback is really positive every time you go for the turn signal. It's on. It works well. The left or the clutch lever is non-adjustable. It's just one position, but the brake lever does have adjustability to bring it closer to your farther away. One thing I really noticed about this bike is that the stock mirrors perform exceptionally well in terms of vibrations and buzziness in the mirrors when you're looking behind you. I've not had to switch them out yet for what are they called? The adventure mirrors that everyone has. I have a pair of them, but I had them on my Norden because those mirrors were actually horrible. But I feel like I don't really have to put them on yet. But I'll get around to it at some point. They're just not an absolute need at the moment, so I'm going to hold off. Like I said, the bike has started up perfectly every time. I'm coming off of a Norden 901, where my single cylinder startup issue happened pretty much every time. What I really like about this bike, the cruise control comes standard, which is nice. I will be getting the quick shifter. It's already ordered. When it comes in, the dealer will put it on. Hopefully I'll have my 600 mile service. But what's really nice about this bike is anytime you want to change a riding mode, you can see there it's the Explore mode. I press this button right here, and the next mode pops up. To Urban, you have your off-road, which the rear ABS is disabled. And the cool thing about this bike is that, hopefully you can see it, but there's yellow indicators here, or sort of warnings, that let you know kind of what's going on with the mode. So it has ABS with a cross through it, meaning it's off, and it's pointing to the rear wheel. It's hard to see that on camera, but it's a nice little reminder of what's going on in that mode. And then you got the individual mode where you can fully customize the traction control, the engine braking, the ABS, and the throttle responsiveness, I believe. So really easy menu system. My initial impressions of it was a little busy compared to, I really like the Norden 901 and the KTM interface, but it's grown on me a lot. It's really easy to read all the necessities. And the really cool thing about this bike, I'm sure everyone's talked about it. Let's just go to really any mode you can do it in, which is cool. If you go up on the control buttons here to Aprilia traction control, which is what ATC stands for, you can quickly flick up or down. You see those numbers changing from now it's in 1, 2, 3. I'm on the left hand side of the screen to 4, 3, 2. I'll go back up to 3, and that's your traction control. You could change it on the fly. So, you know, let's say you're in an Explorer mode and you hit some gravel and you don't want to go to off-road mode, for whatever reason, you want to maintain your ABS at the back, you can just keep it in Explorer and quickly, you know, throw down your traction control so get the rear wheel spinning a little bit if you want it. What else? I'll just keep talking for a little bit as I pull out and get on my way, and we'll go from there. All right, and we are recording. Cool. All right, so riding the bike, the first impressions, the handlebars are high. And they're nice and wide, and I'm a shorter rider, so I'm like 5'5", 5'6", with about a 29.5-inch inseam. The stock seat was a tad high for me, so I knew I needed the low seat. Luckily, the day that I went to go for a test ride, there was a guy who pulled up on his Tuareg. He seemed like a shorter guy as well, and I don't know, we just started chatting, not just about our shortness, but just about the bike, and he mentioned that he did have the low seat already on, so it was cool to see what that looked like, and he said that he in fact ordered a low seat to the dealer, and he was waiting on it and didn't want to wait that long, so he actually ordered a second one from eBay, and that came in, you know, within a week or whatever. So he still had one that was scheduled to arrive at the dealer, and said, you know, if it comes in, I'll, you know, happily just sell it to you, or tell them to sell it directly to you, because I don't need it anymore. Well, fast forward about a week to the day where my bike was ready to pick up, and the same day the dealer called and said, hey, that guy's seat's in, so we'll just switch it over to you immediately. And I had essentially the low seat on the bike since I've driven it off the dealer's lot. So that's really helped me. I had a low seat on my Norden, and you know, everyone talks about the Norden. The Norden had a really comfortable seat. It was wide, sort of in the middle and the sort of the rear, but it was nice and skinny towards the front. And that is absolutely true. But I found even with the low seat, so I'm now comparing low seat to low seat Norden to this bike, and I feel way more confident getting my foot planted on the ground. Now I'm never putting both feet on the ground. In fact, I don't even really try. I can't even put like the tippy toes of my feet down. So I always have one foot down and one foot on the pegs. Usually my left leg down and the right on the rear brake, holding at a stop. But this low seat feels way more comfortable to me. So take that for what it's worth. About 29 or 30 inch inseam, and this low seat is just perfect for me, the way I like to ride, and the fact that I'm very comfortable just at a standstill with one leg down. Now the reason I started talking all about that was the bars. So the bars are noticeably high and wide. When I started riding it sitting down, just riding it off the lot or in the test ride, I was like, man, I'm gonna really need to tilt these things forward towards me to make me feel like I'm not reaching too much. And now the more that I've ridden it, 150 miles or so, what I first noticed was it's absolutely perfect position for off-road. So when you're standing up, it's an amazing spot, or like position and setup for you to just feel comfortable and have control off-road. So I don't want to change it in that way. And then even when I'm riding and it's a little bit more twisty and I'm getting sort of more up on the bike, like towards the front of the seat, and my elbows are out a little bit to control it a little bit more, with a little bit more finesse or a direct input, right? I do feel really comfortable while I'm sort of up on the bike and able to just really put precise inputs into the bars in that way. So I think I'm going to keep it. In fact, I ordered the oh man, is it not SW Motec? It's I'll have to, the hand guards that are one solid or two solid pieces that bolt into the handlebar mount and come around full metal piece and then bolt into the end of the handlebar. I had those bars for, it's Hepco and Becker, I think, makes them. So I've had those style bars on my F750 GS and the Norden 901, and they're great. I think they're cool because they maintain the look of the original plastic handguard, because they kind of they keep those there, but they come around them and then protect them. So I've liked those, but one of the reasons I was going to not install those was to have the flexibility of pivoting these handlebars if I needed to. And if you pivot them any certain way, then it's just not going to fit that rigid design. So I went ahead and actually bought some bark busters that are designed specifically for the Tuareg, and I think I'm going to go with those. I also feel like I would rather just have the bark busters take an impact than have any sort of impact transfer to the handlebar mount. I don't know if that's overthinking it, but sort of how I feel. One of the things I really appreciate is the location of these buttons. I don't know, I mean, I guess I have smaller hands, but like I'm not reaching for anything here, so it feels really comfortable. The quality feels really nice, and yeah, we've got the GPS mount bar here, which I was gonna put this the phone on, but I've got something else coming. I can't seem to bring myself to buying a Garmin Zumo, even though I want one. It's like $500, and there's a decent chance I'll just end up getting one. But I've actually held off for a couple of reasons. One, well, the price, but two is I've really enjoyed using the I don't know how to pronounce it, but GAIA GPS app. And that just sits on your phone. And is a desktop app, a web-based app too. So you can just go on your computer and do all the same things, and really like easily import routes, and then you can see them all in one spot on your map, and it's really, really nice. So I like that, and I want to maintain all those routes that I already have there. So I'm hesitant to go away from it, and therefore using a phone is really like the way to go to utilize that app. But I also am a little bit worried about having my phone on the bars, simply because I want to have my phone on me at all times in case I need to get in touch with somebody. And if I'm separated from the bike at some point in a bad situation, then I want to have the phone on me, not mounted to the bike or somewhere else on the road. So what I used to do, what I had for about a month or two, was a really cheap Motorola phone that I got for about $120, and that was able to run the GPS app that I liked, and it would just sit on my handlebars all the time, and I could just hook it up to a charge at the USB port in front, and it was really easy to use. I could basically do all the route planning and stuff on my desktop, and then I would sync it up to the GPS app on the phone, and if anything happened to this phone, it was like just over $100. It was not a big deal. Just let it happen. And then I saw folks in the Aprilia Facebook page actually talking about an Apple CarPlay like screen that mounts up for motorcycles. So I love Apple CarPlay in my car. Figured, if it could run the GPS app as well, then I might as well just do that. So that's coming today, actually, at some point, and I'll mount it up and see how it works. And I think that's what's going to sit up on that GPS bar right there. So that's the plan. All right, so talking about comfort, the seat, even though this is the low seats, it's probably got less padding. It's been comfortable. I've not felt uncomfortable yet. Again, I haven't really done too many or too long of a trip yet, but I felt really good. and it's nice and slim, you know, so it's easy to maneuver. I like the one-piece design so that it's really easy to move backwards and come up forwards, come up really close to the front of the controls. So I really like the design of it. And so in terms of like how the bike feels and handles while riding, it handles better than any bike I've ridden, very simply. And you know, I thought I was gonna be losing that sort of like low center of gravity, going away from the saddlebag design of the fuel tanks that the KTMs and the Norden had. But I don't know why this is, but this bike feels definitely more nimble, and it feels like I'm not worried about it tipping over as easily. Like when I'm at a stop, it doesn't feel as heavy, and that is super strange because that's the whole draw of the KTM 890 and the Norden 901 for me, was like that low center of gravity, you know, for the nimbleness feeling and for just being at a stop and being able to control it. But a couple of different things I think are happening is that, well, one, the fuel in this bike is also very low. I'll get off the bike and show at some point, but it goes pretty low, even though it's not splayed out on the sides like the saddlebag design, but it is low. And then the other thing is that when you're essentially putting inputs into these handlebars, which are higher up, you have an advantage of leverage from a higher, you know, input position. So like, you know, let's say you want to topple a building over, it's easier to push from the top than it is from like the middle. So I think that's what's going on here in terms of it feeling really nimble and easy to throw around. It's because the bars are higher up. That's my feeling, and it's the same exact feeling I had when visiting the dealer to take a look at the Ducati Desert X. That bike is heavy on paper, but it does not feel heavy whatsoever. It's super weird. I was, you know, moving it around in the dealership, you know, without not underpowered, just with my hands and body weight, but it felt really easy to maneuver. And then on the street, it was nice and nimble too. And I think again that's the same thing, because the Ducati Desert X's handlebars are high up. If anyone's ever chest ridden that as well before, same exact feeling here. So I think that's what's lending to that feeling. Except, you know, the Desert X doesn't have low slung fuel, or low. The fuel tank doesn't really extend lower towards the bike, or the middle of the bike. It still sits up here in terms of the fuel tank up at the top. But yeah, so for me, you know, the bike's got like 80 horsepower, this bike, and then 50 some pounds of torque. It is plenty of power for me, you know. I really don't need any more, so it feels really good. And I think Aprilia's experience in, you know, building race bikes and amazing street bikes, somehow the handling is sort of just like transcended into this adventure bike with a 21-inch, you know, front tire. It does feel super agile to me. So yeah, the riding position is super comfortable because the bars are nice up and high. The pegs are not are in a position where my knees are slightly bent. I mean, but they're not uncomfortable at all. They feel really good. One big thing that I noticed, you know, it was just like a personal preference thing, but then I saw it sort of materializing in some other videos I've watched. So the passenger pegs in the back, I immediately noticed how far out they sort of protruded from the bike, and I thought it was going to really interfere with you know, having my foot down and possibly pulling away from a stop. And that's exactly what I experienced as soon as I started riding this bike. my calf hit the back of the my calf hit the passenger peg a couple times on the ride home, and I just, that confirmed it for me. But really, more importantly, I did not want this bike to fall over with me under it, at least a little bit in part, if my leg was under it, and then that thing had the chance to really do some damage to me. So I immediately took those pegs off. I think I was watching, like, gosh, what is his name on YouTube? Like Hippo something, Hippo Moto or whatever. He's got some awesome videos on the Tuareg. I'm sure if you're listening to this, you've seen that guy. So there was one ride he was doing, one of his earlier rides, I guess, on the bike, and it was in some trails and stuff, and yeah, he cursed out that peg for sure, because it did dig into his leg while he was sort of trying to paddle a little bit and get out of a rut. And I was just shaking my head like I knew that was going to come one day, so I got rid of the pegs literally the day I brought it home. So I think if you're not going to ride two up, I would highly suggest getting rid of those pegs. I think it's a safety issue for me, and they don't provide any benefit for me, except, people have pointed out, well, maybe it's helps the bike not fall over as much if you want to have to pick it up. But I don't really care about that. I'll deal with the weight. And there are still mounting points on the frame to mount up luggage on the side, so no big deal there. Yes, this thing is super nimble, and this is in a really relaxed position, but if I get up on the bars a little bit and really just toss it around, it's really awesome. The suspension is great. That was the one thing I was like worried I was going to lose by not going with the KTM 890. But all the reviews are saying it is, certainly not as good as the suspension on the 890R. Because the WP suspension on that bike is ridiculously good, but I do not get myself into situations that I'm gonna need that level of performance. So anything that kind of approaches that level is gonna be plenty for me. And literally the only thing that was a deciding factor was when the bike falls over. It's easier to pick up the 890 because of the fuel tanks are there kind of supporting it already. That is the only difference. But all the pros are, this bike is less expensive. I think it looks phenomenal. I like this color scheme, the blue taggle must or whatever it is, indico taggle must, and I didn't need all that power, that additional performance, and in my 890 engine that I had in the Norden 901, I had the single cylinder startup issues. I was just worried that something was going to happen, like a fuel pump would go or some leak would happen, and I just didn't want to deal with that. And I've heard just nothing but, mostly all, I have not heard any major issues with this bike, so it made me feel really confident about going with it. But again, it's cheaper. It already comes with cruise control. That is something you'd have to buy with the 890R. And the ability to change traction control settings, the levels of intervention for traction control on the 890 is also an additional cost. So that just would have kept adding up, and there's more and more of a reason to stick with this bike. Alright, if I think of anything else, I'll hop back on, but otherwise I'll see you when I get a little bit closer to some gravel roads. Alright, we're back on the Tuareg. Got a little pit stop in, some coffee, got a little warmed up. It's probably about 33, 34 degrees or so here. But I will say, about 40 minutes riding here, the handguards, if you will, the plastic handguards that come stock on the bike actually do a really, really nice job of keeping the wind off. So I've got heated gloves. I do have the Hippo Hands, you know, wind guards or whatever they're called, but I didn't put them on because they're a little bit clunky, and they were on my KLX, so I didn't feel like taking them off and putting them on these things. But anyway, been able to stay pretty warm on this thing. All right, so got some great gravel roads coming up, and it should be a good time. I've ridden this, I was here I guess last week as well, so I'm just gonna get off of here, close that out. You can see all those fun points here. Is where I mapped out where I know there are some fine gravel roads. So I'm gonna leave this thing in off-road mode. Up in the display here, you can see you got my odometer there, but if I flip up real quick, you can see traction control, or Aprilia traction control, the ATC is set at 1. I think as a default in off-road mode. You can obviously quickly put it up to 4, which is max, but I'm gonna put it back down to 1. Just mess around with that a little bit, and then off-road mode allows you to, or comes standard to with the rear ABS off. So that's what we'll work with for the next about, I don't know, 25 minutes or so. Some great roads back here. This is Kennett Square area, Pennsylvania. It's like the mushroom capital of the world, and I'll tell you, you know when you're here because you smell it. Not a good way, but at least you know where you're going. All right. So I just got this GoPro 10 and the microphone hooked up with all the wiring, you know, hidden in the cheek pads and all, and it looks, the setup looks pretty professional, I gotta admit. And I've been testing the sound a little bit here and there when I've been turning on and off, make sure it's still working, and it sounds really good. I've got like a dead cat fuzzy thing on the mic, and it's just peeking out of the my left cheek pad in front of it. It seems to be doing a really nice job picking up my voice primarily, and I got a really nice mount here for the GoPro. I'll talk about that later, but anyway, here's the first gravel road. Been down here a few times, and it's just really nice. No winter maintenance. That's the kind of thing you want to see, you know. So here on some gravel, it's not a ton of gravel, it's pretty hard packed, and then a little bit of gravel. There's a bunch of patches that get more gravelly and deeper in the gravel, but I'll just kind of try and talk through what I'm feeling as far as the traction control. But again, this is not off the traction control, it's on setting 1, so if you give the throttle a little bit, the back steps out just a bit. Again, this is not much of a low traction environment. This is gravel, it's just a little bit of light gravel on top of this hard packed road, so I'm not going to get a whole lot of slippage, but just give you an example again here. Throttle on. No, that's just picking up. It's no point, there's just no problem getting traction here, so not a great time to demonstrate it, but oh, there you go. You kind of heard that the engine rev up a little bit, so we did get some rear wheel slip. And yeah, so I'll demonstrate that again a couple of different places here, but it feels super planted. Like, I mean, the handling just feels fantastic. I mean, when you do go into a corner, or you're in a turn on the gravel, I mean, I think it's more of a function of the Pirelli Scorpion tires that are, you know, they're fine. But that was nice. So if you get on a little bit of a turn and blip the throttle a little bit, you'll have that rear step out a little bit, and it's a good feeling. And again, this is on like the lowest intervention traction control. You can do it on level 2 and, you know, feel even more confident that the bike will do all the work for you. So this is a nice little transition here. So yeah, you go up through here, this beautiful little old bridge, I guess, wooden deck here, which is kind of cool. Yeah, it's nice. beautiful back here. So it's worth the drive. It's only about 40 minutes for me, but truly is like the only place we can get like a good bunch of gravel roads together. So it's worth it. I'm just kind of retracing my steps from last weekend. I found an extra bonus gravel road last weekend, so I don't think I'll miss it. Just want to make sure I do hit that. But just being back here off the main road is just really, really pretty. Get a little bit of feel for the handling on sort of some curvy roads here. Again, this is where I'm kind of like choking up on the seat. Obviously people here and enjoying the day as well. They should probably get to the side of the road. But anyway, yeah, so I was in the middle of saying, like, this is in a road like that, like kind of a little bit more curvy, is where I'll kind of sit a little bit further up on the seat and be able to really get my elbows up and just, you know, throw the bike around. And it goes into the corners really, really easily and holds the corners nicely. All right, I think this is kind of just like a straight shot up over that hill across the main road. So we just did a little bit of like a loop getting back to the main road now. And I'm recording this on the GAIA app. I don't know how do you say that, to be honest. It's like GAIA. Yeah, this will be a fun road. Okay. So again, traction is on level 1, and I'm in first gear. I'll pop it into second and just see how it responds right about here. So I'm gonna, yeah, so it's just like really letting you step out. If you can see in the rear view mirror, I don't know, a little bit of dust kicked up. I mean, it feels really controlled when you do it on this bike. And I'm sure even if I flicked it up to traction control 2, it's even more controlled. It's not letting you slip out as much, so it feels super like comfortable. You can get comfortable with whatever level you're at, and then just, you know, change it up a little bit and see. Yeah, that's so nice. I felt so that little patch there, you can see the discoloring of the road. It's a little bit thicker of gravel, so that's kind of where we'll get more sketchier than just the light gravel. And I just had it in air traffic control, in Aprilia traction control 2, and you could feel that the engine was taking power away as it was about to, you know, really step out in the back. I mean, you know, totally different experience than from traction control 1 to 2. So that is really cool to feel kind of in real time, that comparison. So I can definitely say it's doing a nice job. It's really great. And yeah, oh, it feels great. And like, and I'm not like an expert off-road guy, but I do really love it. But like experiencing like a low traction environment and feeling what it is to have like the bike move under you a little bit and get back into line is so important for even riding on the road. When you're riding in areas where, you know, you might come across like a wet spot that, you know, or there is some gravel in the road, and if you're not used to riding any kind of low traction environment, you're gonna freak out. You know, I know this guy I rode with a couple times, and I said, "Hey, you want to go out for a ride?" And he's like, "Yeah, absolutely, let's go." I'm like, "I'm really trying to hit some gravel. Are you cool with that?" And he's like, "I almost died twice on gravel. I stay away from that as much as possible." And I totally get that. You know, ride only, you know, with what you're comfortable with. But it's like, I would rather know what it's like and be able to deal with it than freak out the 1 or 2 times it ever happens and possibly really screw up, you know. So just my thought. All right, so this is where I know I'm not gonna mess up and miss that bonus gravel road. So it's up here Now, you know what? I guess I was supposed to turn around there. Or make a turn. Yeah, I was supposed to turn there. Got it. Alright, turn radius is very easy. Or very small? Easy to do. I think the wheelbase is like pretty short. Alright, got another gravel road coming up on the left in a little bit. That'll take us back to the main road and then over to another gravel road, I think. But in the meantime, you know, just enjoying the back roads here. The scenery is beautiful. You know, and I don't know about most folks. I get really envious when I see YouTubers on their bikes and they're kind of able to just hop on their bike and like 10 minutes later they're like in a canyon or off-road somewhere in Utah, and I'm just like, you know, I've got to ride at least 40 minutes just to get to something semi that doesn't look like a town, and you know, it's not so bad, but it really makes me want to get out and take a trip somewhere. Oh, that is someone's house. Okay. Oh, the road's right up here. Perfect. I'm in traction control 2. I'll go back to 1. Just play around with it a little bit. Again, no winter maintenance. I want to find a map that has all the roads that are non-maintained. Like, that's like the goal. That would give away all the fun roads around the state. Yeah. All right. So again, standing up here, just flipping the throttle a little bit. Off center. Yeah, in a turn. Just feels so easy on this bike. Definitely makes you feel like you're a better rider. So I'm gonna keep the throttle constant here, throw my weight back a little bit so I don't get bogged into something deep. But yeah, the actual tires are doing really nice. I don't hate these Pirellis. Okay. Myself a little blip. Alright. Throw my weight back a little bit. Yeah, so this bike is super easy to move around on. You know, it's got just like the rally seat, or just the one-piece seat. It's really nice. On my Norden, it had the passenger seat was a separate, or at least the stock one was separate and a bit higher up. So when I had like a bag on top of that seat, it actually got in the way a little bit of throwing my weight back, put my butt too far back where I wanted to go. It didn't really allow me to get as far back. But this is great. I mean, again, just everything, just throwing more points to the Tuareg. I wonder. I can just take a right here and see what that little road is, because it looks like it's a skinny road on the map, which means it could be unpaved. see. Just exploring a little bit. I got about 15 minutes before I have to start heading home. Yeah, like I was saying about just sort of like gaining skills off pavement. You know, if you don't know when your bike is going to break traction, you're going to be totally in the dark as to how your bike is going to react when you need to, you know, get on the brakes quickly, or whether or not you can throttle out of a turn. You know, and so it's like to shy away from off pavement stuff is, I get it, just stay with what you're comfortable with, but like it teaches you a lot about how to be a better rider overall, and that includes just on the street, especially when you encounter tough obstacles or situations. The other thing about this bike is it is so incredibly balanced. Like, is anyone around here? So I could literally get to about, you know, 3 miles an hour and feel completely, and this is uphill too, you can't really see, but it was completely balanced. With just a little bit of rear brake pressure. Oh, you know what? I was supposed to. It's not where I wanted to go, unfortunately. It's okay. Cool. A little bit of twisty roads. It's nice. Yeah, it's so balanced that, you know, just a little bit of brake pressure on the back and some throttle, some clutch modulation is just so easy to control at super slow speeds, which just makes you feel more confident at, you know, any speed really. So it's been kind of nice figuring out where that limit is here on this bike, and off a good few times I've been at 0 miles an hour, just kind of crawling along, getting to a stoplight, and again, just makes you feel good that you've got that level of control over the bike. Yeah, I've never been down here, but I have a feeling that we'll get to some gravel around here. Some donkeys or something over there. It's nice. But if nothing else, it is definitely beautiful, and that is a gorgeous house. Old. Wow, it's gorgeous. So cool. So pretty. I'll be honest, yeah, this has got to be a public road, I'm sure, but just so nice. I don't know what that kind of bird is, but it's very cool. It's different properties, different farms, a lot of horses. I mean, it's gorgeous. I've got to do a little review on the Tusk bags I just bought. They're like the smallest sort of dual sport bags they've got. I have the excursions, and I like them a lot, but they're a heavy item to just have on your bike. So I don't want to have them on just all the time, and I'm just like a little, you know, more of like a vain way. I like the look of this bike so much that I don't want to just strap on bulky bags unless I really need to carry a bunch of stuff, which is going to be for an actual trip. And I don't want to just have the bikes on there just to say I look like I go moto camping. Something in it's just a branch. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty. That is nice. But anyway, I can't remember what the name of these bags are, but they're like the smaller ones. They've got a little bit of zipper on the back, on the outside, but what I like about these ones, they're very low profile. They fit the profile of this bike so well. And they're like a top load zipper rather than just stuffing it in like the side, like that sort of side top. Like the Endurastand bags, I love the look of those things. I think they're really awesome. But they seem to be like kind of big. I don't know. I might get some just to see, but these ones are really nice for just like packing some small items for like a day long ride, and then if they want to go stay overnight somewhere, throw a duffel bag on top, and the strap system itself on these things actually have loops, 4 loops at the top, so that you can strap another duffel or whatever you want, maybe a backpack or something to it. So it's it's pretty versatile. Just keep going here a little bit. Nice road, man. So I really like them. What I did with my Tusk excursion bags, I had them, when I had the Norden was all like, white, or sorry, really black, and the highlighted yellow, and then some white as well. But I just wanted them all black, so I made them look a little bit like the Endurastand bags. And I straight up spray painted the Tusk bags where they were gray. I spray painted them black. So I'm probably going to do that with these bags too, but I'm going to keep them as is for a quick review before I do that. I don't really know where I'm going, but this seems fun. Okay, yeah, this is good. So something else about this bike, so the windscreen, again, I'm a shorter guy, so I'm like 5'5", 5'6". If I pull my head down here, absolutely no wind whatsoever, and it's awesome. If I come up here, there's just a tiny bit of air at the top of my helmet, but I'm not, this is based on what helmet you have at this point then, so it's like, if your helmet is fine with a little bit of wind at the top, then that's great. The design of a lot of helmets compensate for that, and try to hold your head steady in that wind. So for me, this is fine. I don't want to mess with, certainly not going to get the touring windscreen that's just bigger overall side and height, but I might do like a Puig spoiler on the top. But honestly, it's not bothered me yet, so I'm not going to force it. I think it's kind of a, not necessary. And honestly, again, I'm a vain person and like the look of this bike, and I don't want to mess with it, so I'm not going to change the look of it. I like even how the windscreen looks, so why mess with it? I think we're at the end here, and I don't even think this is a gravel road, unfortunately. Maybe it is, not sure. Maybe it used to be. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Yep, and here we are towards the end, and I'll get some directions home. So I think that about concludes this light gravel quick ride here on the Tuareg. I plan to have this bike for a long time, and for me that would be more than 10 months. So I truly hope I have this bike for like at least a year. Since I have this bike and then I have a KLX 300, which I want to do a little bit more like technical, more difficult off-road stuff, a lot in the sand in the New Jersey Pine Barrens, and then use this bike for things like this, longer trips to places that are not super technical but like still fun to ride. And I don't know what that place is. It says do not enter, unfortunately. I wonder though. I wonder. Yeah. Alright, heading to Wawa for a quick pit stop, and then on the way home. So hopefully we'll have another video out soon about thoughts on the Tuareg. Hopefully put on some miles over the next week or so, get it serviced at 600, and then take it out on some nice long roads as the spring emerges from the winter here in Pennsylvania. So thanks for watching. Feel free to leave any questions or thoughts in the comment section. I'll look out for those, and I appreciate the view. All right, take care.